Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wodcast podcast. This is a very special episode of the Wodcast podcast. We have reached 500 episodes. Yeah, 500 of these things. What have I done? What am I doing with my life? You know, most people would consider it an accomplishment. I'm sitting here going, what have I done? How have I done this? What should I do? How do I get away from this? Do I have an addiction? Do I have a disability? Do I have a problem? What am I doing? If you asked me 10 years ago, would I be sitting here in my kitchen recording this show like I always do every week? I'd be like, no way will I ever be doing that. Talking about functional exercise and competitive exercise and fitness and health. No, but here I am. I'm doing it and I love it. It was a big week for me. 500 episodes of the podcast. Shot my 1 hour special down at the Irvine Improv. It was awesome. I had about 70 CrossFitters come out for that show. That was pretty cool. I want to thank all of you that supported, came out, hooked you up with tickets. That was great. We packed the place. The first show, there was an overflow. They had too many people. It's a big venue. It's 500 seats. Second show, just a great show. Second show was a better show. And I just want to thank everybody that supported and came out. But I also want to thank everybody that supports this show. The people that come out to this show and listen to this show, you are amazing. You are, you've stuck with me for a long time through every iteration of the show. We started out, it was Armen and Kenny and I, and then it was Armen and Scott and I, and then it was just me, or it was Armen and me for a little bit, and then just me. And, after 500 episodes, I'm going to be handing it off to Ronnie Teasdale. He's taking over, and he's going to be the new host of the Wodcast. I'm stepping down. I'm just fucking with you. But we're going to keep doing this every week. Send me your guests. Send me who you want me to talk to. I like talking to me. And don't send me Liver King. I talk about in this episode. Just send me people that you think would be fun for me to talk to. And I like interesting people. They don't have to be in the world of CrossFit. They can be an athlete. They can be someone, a nutritionist, a physical therapist, a doctor, a researcher. Anybody who's done anything interesting in fitness can fill us in on anything. Someone that's interesting. God, that's what I'm mostly looking for. So, and I want to thank you guys. Like I said, I want to thank you for supporting, especially everybody who's given to the Patreon. I mean, you don't know, just to put the show on every week costs a lot of money. There are everything from social media people to editors to audio, and it costs money. And I have to pay them, and it's nice to have that paid for, and the Patreon helps do that. So if you want to give to the Patreon, it's $5 a month. That's $5 a month. What do you get for that? There's a very good chance you'll win a Myopox or a leopard paw. Some crazy stuff's happening over there. We're going to have a meeting this week, so things could be changing. I don't know. Hopefully we stay with them. I love them. I love their company. I think the Myopox is an incredible product. It's an electronic muscle stimulator that expedites the inflammatory process. So anytime you're injured, without hurting tissue, it speeds up the process of healing. And then there's the leopard paw or the leopard claw. Those things they're kind of like Grastons. You use them to scrape adhesions and get the blood flow better into the area that's injured. Another great tool that everyone should have that's athletic or into fitness. This week, our winner is an OG. That's right. He has been donating to the podcast since the beginning. And I just want to thank him. He's actually been a guest of the show, too. So because this is a special episode, 500th episode, it's a special guest. Jeremy Lesniak, congratulations. You are the winner. Wow, think about it. I don't know how long Myopox and Leopard Claw have been been sponsoring the show, but there have been a lot of people out there, maybe hundreds and hundreds of people that have gotten myopuxes and leopard paws. So I just want to thank Troy over there. And if you don't win one, buy one. They're incredible. Go to their website, myopux.com or Leopard Claw. You'll find it. They sell them on Rogue Fitness. Just get them. They're great. They're amazing. And like I said, thank you to all the people that have supported this show. Thanks to the people that come out and see me live. That's kind of part of the reason I do this. I hope you find me entertaining, and then you're like, I got to go see this guy live. This week I'm in Calgary, Canada. Hold on. Calgary at Yuck Yucks in Calgary. I'm a big fan. I do like it there. I like it. I wish I could go skiing while I'm there, but I got no one to go with me. I'm in Calgary this weekend. That is the end of January. 28th, 29th, I'll be in Calgary. Then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of February, and 6th, I'll be in Vancouver. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So anyone who wants to, hit me up if you want to go skiing in Whistler. I got an Epic Pass, and I'll meet up with you. Got a rental car. Boom, I'll be there in 5 seconds. Let's go shred. Then the next week I'm working is the 17th, 18th, 19th. I'm in 17th, 18th. I'm in Rosemont, which is right outside Chicago at Zany's. And then the 19th, which is Saturday, I'm downtown at Zany's. And then the 20th, I'm in Milwaukee at the Improv. Then the 25th, 26th, I'm in Boston at Laugh Boston. The next week, I have a private show that you can't come to in Las Vegas. Then I'm going to Costa Rica on vacation. Then I'm at the Ventura Comedy Club the 18th and 19th of March. And then I'm in Las Vegas at the Comedy Cellar. That's just like a fun week for me where I hang out with some friends for a week. It's a great show. They're showcase shows. So they'll put like 5 headliners on the show, and we all do like short sets, 15 minutes. Really fun for the audience, really fun for us because we get to hang out. We never get to see the other headliners, but at this show we do. So that's the 21st through the 27th. I will be in Las Vegas. Always looking for shit to do there. I go mountain biking up in Red Rocks. I go hiking, running, trail running up there. I'm usually up in the mountains all day long. So anybody want to hook up, meet up, let's do it. And then the 8th and 9th of April, I'm in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. 13th, 14th, I'm in Vail, Colorado. And then a whole bunch of other dates. Check them out at Ifft.com. And yeah, all the dates are there. And I just want to talk about this episode now. We have a really, really cool episode. I had to get the best guest I could find. The best for the 500th episode. So you know what I did? I went back to the beginning. Yep, the OGs. Day 1, Wodcast, Kenny Kane, Armen Hammer. We get back together for this 500th episode. I really hope you guys enjoy this. It was so fun to do. Could have talked to them for 8 hours. But I forget, shit to do. Had to get ready. Had my special. And I hope you guys really, really like this. It was fun to do and reminisce and talk about the past and talk about our predictions of the future. And we laughed a lot, as usual. And I hope you guys laughed too. And again, thank you for all your support. Thanks for making it 500 episodes. And really, I just can't thank you enough. I've been very grateful the past few days. And, you know, this is a weird world we're living in. And I'm just happy to be alive and still going and doing the things that I love. And so, and I couldn't do it without any of you guys. So enjoy this 500th episode. Couldn't have done it without you guys. On this very special episode of the Wodcast podcast, I am going to let one of our 2 guests do the introduction for you guys on this 500th episode of... Oh my God.
Oh my God,
his audio's screwed up. That is the best way to start this.
What's wrong with it?
Unbelievable. Now it's fine. It
Oh, did it blow out? Because it's too high?
It completely blew up.
I can't yell with
No.
these microphones?
No, The internet found out about you, Kenny, and they found a way to Kenny Kane.
Hold on. Let me. No. The internet's not going to win. Hold on. Let me just do this. All right. Fuck it. Old school. Open mic here. Let's do this.
You sound fine now.
Okay, how's
without
that?
your dumb headphones on.
Yeah. I know. This is the Beats 3, and it sounds.
Those are like the super expensive, real fancy, nice ones.
Yeah,
This is just a computer.
I have a pair of those Beats 3 that Hunter left at my house that I use all the time, and I'm never giving back to him.
And now, starring 10 years ago, he alienated just about everybody in CrossFit. He then found himself a decade of work. Armen, the father, hammer. Coming to you, his narcissism has only increased over the last decade. His teeth have somehow gotten bigger. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Ifft. Finally, it's me.
I want to hear how you introduce yourself.
And now, Kenny Cocaine.
That's right. For you people that
It is the 500th episode of the Wodcast podcast. That is right. Episode 764. You made it. Eddie, we're ready.
if you are a new listener and you're wondering who these two weirdos are, these are the OGs. They are the original members of the Wodcast podcast. About 10 years ago, we started this show 500 episodes ago. None of us ever thought it would last more than 5 episodes. And here we are. It was, there were a lot of predictions on that first episode. I think they've all come true.
Yeah, I actually, while I was setting up for this, I did what you did, which is I went back and I re-listened to that episode. And there's so many great moments. Like that first episode set the tone for so many different moments. I want to point out 2 specifically. The first being that was the first episode that we did, and it absolutely included something that happened in basically every episode since then, which was Machete will edit this out. Just do a cut like right here, real easy edit, do an edit right here, and then we'll move on. And like, let's start over again. And never, ever once was any of this shit ever edited. In fact, instead of editing, we just like kicked entire episodes to the fucking curb instead of editing even like 30 seconds out of it.
Creating further pain for all listeners.
There were so many times that I would say to people like, don't worry, we'll take that out. And they're like, thank you. And then they call me on the phone and they're like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, Ernie, can you please edit? And he's like, oh, dude, bro, sorry. I totally forgot to cut that part out. And I'm like, yeah, the guy just mentioned he's cheating on his wife. and you left it in there. That should have been taken out.
The second thing that spawned in that first episode was Russian dad, German mom.
That was in the first episode?
That was episode 1.
Seriously.
Russian dad, German mom was episode 1. Yeah, he's 18. He just said it's all in your head. You should be able to deadlift more than that. That story was the first episode. That's crazy.
It's all in your head. He also said to some guy, he said, how do you do a muscle up? And he said, you just pull yourself into it.
Yes.
And I saw the guy try. That was the best. Watching a guy just try to do a muscle up without any advice at all. Just get up there.
Eddie, what was the date of when did we
Armen
start?
might know. I was just
February 20th.
February 20th of
2012. So we recorded, I want to say it was earlier that week.
So
we
this is 10 years. We're
at 10 years. A decade of this shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had just competed at the OC Throwdown.
Yep. That's right.
Eddie was still in Venice on the filthiest couch on the face of the planet.
Yep.
Kenny, you had just come back from like a masters competition in NorCal.
Oh yeah.
Armen, was that the OC Throwdown where you did well and won like the amateur division?
I'm sorry. I need to correct you right now. It is the advanced division. In fact, and I did not prep this just for the show.
Here we go.
He's got the trophy.
I have this thing in my office with me.
He's really got the trophy.
Everywhere I go.
I know.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Keep that there. That should be on the desk.
Oh,
That
God.
should be on
There
the
we
desk.
go.
That
There
is
we go.
not the time you got Rhabdo, though.
No, I got Rhabdo the following year.
Yeah.
I went back the following year to defend my
Title.
my advanced title. And then we showed up and they got rid of the advanced division and said, everyone's in the elites now. And I was like, well, fuck you. They're games athletes. What the fuck am I supposed to do? And it didn't go well for me.
Yeah. Well, what
The
else
end of
happened?
my illustrious competitive
What else happened
career.
in that episode? Because I didn't listen to it. I just, I couldn't. I was in the car and I was trying to find it on the internet. I couldn't find it.
Dude, I just found it on Spotify.
Oh.
Let's see what else is.
I
what
thought
else
everything.
happened?
I thought everything
How
I've
do you
done.
not know that?
Well, see, everything I've done has been ripped off Spotify because that that Spoken Giants thing that's going on. There's some company that came in to represent all the stand-up comedians and basically say that when we write jokes, we're like a songwriter, and that we should get another royalty for writing the joke. So they basically reached out to like the companies where we're distributed and said, send us royalty payments for these guys. And I might be bastardizing this a little bit, and I don't want to like get like legally in trouble, but Spotify just went, okay, fuck everyone who signed up with you, and just took them off Spotify. So I don't even know if the Wodcast is still on Spotify.
It was. I mean, that's where I listened to it. So at least the Wodcast is still there.
Yeah.
I didn't check anything.
That's
else.
probably why, because it's under a different name. Like because all of my comedy was taken off Spotify, and every comedian like Tom Segura. I don't know if Gaffigan was included. There were lots of big names. They just basically yanked them off Spotify. They're like, sorry, we're not paying you. In fact, we're taking you off.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's
Sorry to hear that.
It's really and there was a good chunk of money that I would receive from Spotify, and no longer. So
Wow.
yeah, so hopefully they can reconcile this thing. But I thought when you said, "Oh, it was on Spotify," I'm like, really? It's on Spotify? I thought I was like persona.
Yeah,
non gratis.
I hopped on there and I organized it by the date from oldest to newest, and that first episode is right at the top. It's right there.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, as I always do, but here it is. How weird is it? 10 years later, we're still here. Glassman and Castro aren't.
I just gotta say, if we're not like, just round of applause to all three of us for fucking outlasting them. By the way, I really do think at first, when you texted, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna listen to it before the show. I was like, damn, dude, like it was so. I remembered it being so awkward and cringy and not good. Like my part.
Yeah.
And I actually found it to be very entertaining. The three of us were really fucking good on this podcast right off the bat. I mean,
You know what's funny?
it.
So Armen, what's funny is that I went home and, because Eddie's got the entertainment background, he's going home. He was basically saying that privately to me, which I never shared with you. He goes, I think Armen's really good. I think he's got a natural he's got a voice. It was antagonistic for sure. And a motherfucker for me professionally on the back end, but like your ability to like add the right amount of pepper and paprika and just kind of like talk shit, but in earnest and very sincerely and very honestly. And you're also like really educated about a lot of stuff. How fucking old were you then? 20?
I was 10 years ago. Yeah, I was like 22.
And I hate giving compliments, so that's why I didn't give it to your face. I hate to do it.
Like that's how Eddie gives compliments. He calls me after. He's
Yeah.
like, and I'm driving home. He's like, yeah, I think it's gonna. We've got something here. I'm like, all right.
And it's not an easy thing to do, Armen. I was just listening to David Spade and Dana Carvey do a podcast now, and they're two of my heroes, like two of the funniest people in the whole world. And they had Chris Rock on as a guest, and it's a brand new podcast they're doing. And I was listening to them talk over each other and interrupt and not finish each other's ideas. And I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, like here these guys are that are like brilliant, talented entertainers, but like there's a skill to this. There's a skill to podcasting. Not saying I am good at it in any way, but saying, when I saw you do it, I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. And he's a natural at it, where I listen to them and I'm like, no, these guys are going to have to work on this. It's very enjoyable. I don't want to criticize them because they're so funny, but they've got to kind of get their chemistry.
I appreciate that. I mean, to this day, everything that I feel like I learned about being on mic, I picked up by being around you guys while we were in those very early stages. So I appreciate that. I am as much reflection of your skills and talents as teachers as I am my own skills and talents.
Wait,
How
Armen,
much? Sorry.
I got to go back here, but what else did we say on this? You had but I'm also curious about like what we said, because I got to go back and listen at some point. But I'm like, it's been a decade and a lot of
the whole like, oh, we'll edit this out thing, that was like straight off the first episode. Never happened since then. The German mom, Russian dad thing, that was also that first episode. Speaking of Glassman and Dave Castro, we were talking about how the gyms, affiliates are called boxes, and snatches are such a big important thing. And Eddie was like, man, whoever came up with these must have had something else on his mind when he was going with this. So that panned out to be true. And we made fun of, Kenny and I made fun of the programming at the CrossFit Games and the CrossFit Regionals that entire time. It was like we hit every single one of our greatest hits occurred in that first episode right off the bat. I mean, we set the tone immediately, and I can see why that kind of came and bit Kenny in the ass.
I think for the first so many episodes, maybe the first year or whatever, we did a lot of predictions of what was going to happen with CrossFit, and I think down the line, like looking at it, we were spot on with a lot of them, with what would happen with this sport as people would learn it, and all the Globo gyms would kind of open up their own kind of little CrossFit department, and it would get like 3 sets of 10, and where people would start learning it and move away from, and people would start de-affiliating. We talked about that, and we talked about real athletes coming into the sport.
That was in the first episode too. We talked about how we all sort of saw this like ego building up in people who had been doing CrossFit for a long time, that was the only way, and that was the only sort of background that anybody would ever have. And then that both you guys essentially predicted like, yeah, real athletes are going to show up to start competing against people with actual athletic backgrounds who've done other things throughout their entire childhood. And it's going to be really scary. And we've seen that kind of pan out with a few different examples. So
yeah, but you know what? As much as we say that, you get, like, I interviewed Medeiros recently and was talking to him about his background, and he's like, I was a wrestler, and I was like, okay, and I was like, so I forget what state he grew up in, if Idaho or Washington, wherever he was, and I was like, so you're you were what, state champ or what? And he's like, no, and I'm like, you were, and he's like, I made it to the final 20 or what, and I'm like, like, you're the fittest man in the world. Like, I would expect you to be like all American, like, and
the fundamental difference is now though, is that because, 20 years in now, some of these kids are growing up with it quite literally as a sport.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what he is. Yeah. I think he
yeah.
said he started when he was like 15 or 16 doing it as like supplementing to his, like complementing his wrestling.
And everyone's better at,
what's that, Armen?
I was going to say everyone in the professionals involved in the actual development of athletes, like who actually take it professionally, are significantly better at what they were doing than 10 years ago. I mean, it's a night and day difference in terms of what the training and the quality of that training is in terms of outcomes.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, back then they were killing themselves. I mean,
yeah. Back then it was like, can I murder myself via rhabdo today, or do I have to wait until tomorrow to just do 3,000 GHD sit-ups?
There are still guys doing that on the fringes, but they're just not making it to games level athlete because they're not training smart enough. I don't know if you guys saw, I had a guy on the other day. I loved him. He's a really funny, cool guy. He's been doing Murph every day for 365 days. And he got COVID. And I go, what'd you do? He goes, I just kept doing it.
Oh, fuck.
I did a video, the first video that I saw of a guy doing 30 days of Murph. I did like a reaction video on my channel where I was like impressed. Congratulations. Well done. Like, round of applause that you made it through 30 days of Murph. But like, your movement was garbage to begin with, and it was worse by the time you were done. And like, there's no real benefit physically to having done this, even mentally, there's like, there's probably some diminishing returns after, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks. Like, you've proven your point. And I got a lot of people, I think, who either have never done it before or haven't really experienced like really training for something, who are just like, you're just a hater, dog. Like, why don't we see your fat ass do pull-ups? I was like, hold on a second, just hold on 1 second. Like, someone should have to define why they're doing this thing if they're going to make it a marketing ploy of the fact that they're doing it. It's like, not that it's less impressive, just tell me why.
Everybody asked me why I ran the 68-mile run over 18,000 vertical feet, and my answer is so that I could talk about it.
That also didn't change in the past 10 years.
I needed something to brag about, and everything I do involves what can I talk about a lot.
That's good.
So when I see guys do that, I kind of go, I get it. His reasoning was, he said that he went through some like deep, dark periods, and exercise was the one thing that kind of got him out of that. And so he just felt really like invigorated after doing a Murph. And he was like, why? What if I do this every day? He adds stuff to it also. Like, he'll add wall balls, or he'll add, it's something like, I don't know, like
you got to do constantly varied Murph.
Yeah, that's what he does. And he said that makes it exciting, that he's changing. I think it'd be harder to do it just the same way every day.
That's insane. And so how long is he trying to go for?
366 days. He's on he's at like 200 something right now, 200 and some days. But I was like, how was it through COVID? And he's like, yeah, it was pretty hard.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. That's a lot.
The entire landscape though has changed in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's super impressive, but in between like the first episode of the Wodcast and this guy doing a year's worth of Murph, which again, hyper impressive, congratulations, very good. Iron Cowboy went and did like 50 Ironmen in a row in 50 different states.
Yeah.
And that's like, I still can't wrap my head around what that entailed.
You know what I can't wrap my mind around is how he drags his family around with him, and what kind of life they have, acting as his servants to wait on him while he does Ironman. And that guy, I remember I talked to him once about being on the show, and he was like, how about I make a deal with you? You get me on Joe Rogan, I'll do your show. And I was like, how about we never talk again? How about that? So the Iron Cowboy and the Liver King can go fuck themselves.
But come on, man, Liver King.
No,
look at him. He's all natty.
No,
he's like super.
So
primal.
So we've had some pretty good guests on this show, wouldn't you say?
I think we've had some pretty good guests.
Yeah, a lot better than the Liver King. And when I reached out,
wait, we're talking about over 500. Who would you rate as your top?
Oh, I have them on over and over because they're great. They're the idiots. Dat fan. That was the funny, and that's all your fault, Kenny. That was all your fault.
You were so.
I'd love to hear the part where I'm going, get him the fuck out of here.
You so mean to him.
To be fair, he also like stopped us in the middle of like some pretty great riffing, and he was like, guys, I have corporate gigs.
I work with Disney.
They're not gonna like this. And I was like, I don't fucking care whether Disney likes this or not. Are you kidding me?
I remember I got up out of my seat. I went into the kitchen, and I think you came in, and I go, get him the fuck out of here right now.
That one I don't even know if we ever published that, or did we just cut it in half? Did Machete even edit it? I don't even know.
The only one we almost deleted was the one with Jen Wiederstrom when I got in the fight with her.
Oh yeah, you guys got
Scott asked me to delete it. Scott asked me to delete it. And I was like, you know what, Scott, I do overreact a lot. And I said, I have this natural thing to think people are attacking me, and I attack back. I said, I'm going to listen to it. And I said, if I did that, I will call her and I'll apologize. And so I listened to it, and I text Scott. I go, nope, fuck it. Keep it up. And And then, so she and I had this like headbutting for a long time. And then I go to the CrossFit games with Hunter, and he's dating her. And Hunter's like, come to dinner. And I sit down at the dinner table, and she's sitting across from me. And I go, so I guess we're going to put that all behind us. And to her defense, she was the sweetest girl. And we became like friends, and she was great. She was wonderful. So, and she was so cool to like let that go. So I commend her. All right. We all know that good sleep is the ultimate game changer. It's said that something like 30% of Americans struggle with sleep and temperature. Temperature is one of the main causes of poor sleep. I know with me that I like to go to bed really warm, and so I put a lot of like extra layers on, and then halfway through the night I'm sweating and I want to take them off, and it wakes me up. I put my hands and feet outside of my covers, and that doesn't happen anymore. I've changed that. And now I fall asleep in record time, faster than I ever have before. And it's all thanks to my 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover. Now, I said that 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover. That sounded very advertisement-like, but this is an honest testimonial coming from me. The Pod Pro cover is one of the greatest things that I've ever found in my sleep. I grew up and I had a water bed growing up, and we used to like heat it and cool it, and it was always too hot or too cold. And it took so long to heat it and cool it because of all that water in there. And this thing is so different than that. This is a cover that goes over your mattress, and it's like the most advanced solution on the market for thermoregulation. And when I talk about thermoregulation, I'm talking about the way you cool and heat while you're sleeping. And what it does, it doesn't just cool and heat you, it tracks your biometrics. And you can put it on any mattress, and you can start sleeping as cool as 55 degrees or as hot as 110 degrees. And the other thing that's really cool about it, like if my wife has one side and I have another, so hers adjusts to what she likes and mine adjusts to what I like. And it kind of figures you out through, I shouldn't say artificial intelligence, but it's kind of what it is, because it does all this heart rate variability kind of monitoring and figures out what's good for you and what you enjoy. And the result is that you fall asleep faster, you have less sleep interruptions, and you get an overall more restful sleep. It's unbelievable. And you can then check it. You can even just look, because you have an app on your phone that'll show you how you're sleeping, and you get to see how you're getting better and better and better. Or you can look and go, hey, I had a bad night. You know, something might have happened. You got home late, or you had some drinks, or whatever it is, and you see it, and you see the metrics right there, and you're like, wow, I got to stop doing that because I just got a really bad night's sleep. And that's not, that's because of you. But this right here, if you just get in this bed, it'll make you start focusing on your sleep and concentrating on getting good sleep. And then the bed is just going to do everything it needs to do, from warming up and cooling down and making you feel more comfortable while you're sleeping. At the end of the day, your days get better because you're just so much more restful. That's my biggest claim of this, is that I just feel better during the day. And I really do. I feel healthier, happier. If I'm away from home and I don't have my 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover, I'm like, ugh. Oh, how can I sleep in another bed now? It's just, I'm just so addicted to it now. And you should be too. Some of the best athletes in the world are using it. Justin Medeiros is sleeping on one. I just saw Jason Hopper's on it now. It's great. If you want to get one, all you got to do is go to 8sleep, EIGHT sleep, sleep.com/Wodcast. That's 8sleep, EIGHT sleep.com/Wodcast. Check out the Pod Pro cover, and you're going to save $150 at checkout. And I'm going to honestly tell you, this is one of the best investments you'll ever make in your life, because, you can't invest enough in your health, and your sleep is, paramount. And so get yourself one of these Pod Pro covers at 8sleep, EIGHT sleep.com/Wodcast. You're going to save $150 at checkout. After you save that money, you're going to say, I would have paid it. It's so good. 8sleep.com/Wodcast. But favorite guests, back to what you were saying, Kenny, I like having Ronnie Teasdale or Raw of Earth, and who I just had the episode before this, or someone like Hunter or Bobby. Crazy Bobby is unbelievable.
Bob's coming to my gym. I'm giving a talk tonight. He's going to come through, but he was in here yesterday.
He's an amazing human being. He's absolutely out of his fucking mind.
You know, it took me like 6 years to meet him, right? I met him in fucking Madison. I didn't meet him until Hunter introduced me to him. You fucking dicks. It took me like 6.5 years before I met him. And I met him in Madison at the CrossFit Games. And he was finally like, oh, you're the guy that Eddie and Kenny always talk about. Yeah, Hunter talks about you too. I was like, yeah, crazy Bobby. I'm sorry. we never crossed paths.
I'm gonna give two more of my favorites, and then you guys give yours. I liked Wellborn a lot. I love talking to Wellborn. I've always found, I think Kenny, you brought him in, Gary Reinl. Gary's just so interesting and so smart, and has just like an innovative thing going on. You know, it's
for sure.
And I'll give you my ultimate favorite, Ryan Flaherty from Nike, who now is at Orange Theory.
Yeah. Oh no shit. He moved over.
Yeah, he left Nike. He's at Orange Theory now.
Okay.
Wow.
Good for Ryan.
We know who Armen's is.
Who's yours, Armen?
I don't even know.
You never got him. Miko Salo.
Ooh, you're causing me a little bit of hurt there.
How did we never get him for you?
Well, he lives in Finland. That makes things
we didn't Zoom then. We
never did anything remote.
Armen, was the first time that you saw him? Like, I know you saw him at the ranch back in the day, at the games when he first went, but you didn't talk to him then. Was the first time that you talked to him at the 2013 games that you got kicked out of?
Oh no, it was 2012. It was right after we started. It was like 6 months into starting the show that I got kicked out of the games, I think.
Was it that early? And he was there, because I feel like I was walking in with you and you were like completely like
I lost my shit.
You're losing him. You're like, that's Miko Salo.
Yeah.
That's Miko Salo.
That didn't stop that year, by the way. It didn't stop that year, because the only time I've actually physically interacted with Miko, as in like got close to him and took a picture with him, was at the I want to say it was maybe 2015, when they were in Huntington Beach to start the games off. And I was running around with Scott, because Scott had gotten he got himself put onto like the security detail at here. And so I was walking around with him and I saw Miko and I was like, holy fuck, Scott, that's Miko. Like, Miko's right there. Like, he's within arm's reach. And Scott leaned over and Scott leaned over and tapped him on the shoulder and was like, hey, would you take a photo with my boy? And Miko was like, oh yeah, of course. And like came over and we took a big photo. I have this big shit-eating grin on my face. And I was like, oh, he doesn't know that like I have a podcast. He doesn't know that like I work. He doesn't know that we like I'm a fan of his. He just saw a cop ask him, an American cop asked him to take a picture with his like handicapped friend. And I was like, let's do it.
One of my favorite memories of Armen Eddie is Armen beating Graham Holmberg at the old CFLA.
Yeah, I tell everyone that story.
And just like, I mean, we can't let him live that down. But poor guy he's on workout number 9. He had run 3 miles to the gym, for his, 7th workout of the day or whatever it is. And Armen like is directly competing with him. And
Kenny, did I ever give you the follow-up to this story?
Wait. Armen, before you finish the follow-up, when you beat him when you were scaled with
also
technically I did the workout as written and he scaled it up.
Okay. So when he was doing RX plus and you were doing RX, when you beat him, what did you say as you dropped the weights?
I do not recall. I believe I just said, yeah.
No, I think you said something like suck it. Or
I did not. There's no way. No. There's no way.
We got to go back. Some of our listeners might know like what you did. I think
you did say something like that.
I think you said I won.
Put the kettle.
No way.
I won.
You guys are.
Armen,
just-
I know you said something. There was something you said, and you
Yeah, and it wasn't. It wasn't. Yay.
No, what I did was worse than that. I celebrated when I finished, and then I went and cheered him on. That's the worst part. The worst part is I finished and like slammed the kettlebell and then walked over to him and was like, "You got this, Graham. You got this. You've got this, Graham. All you, buddy. You've got this." So here's the follow-up to that story. That was like 2011. That must have been 2011. Because it was right after he won.
2011. It was 2011. Yeah.
Fast forward to 2018. I am at Wodapalooza, one of the largest events in the CrossFit space. And who do I run into in the crowd other than Graham fucking Holmberg? So I walk up to him and I was like, you know what? This has been weighing on me for years. Like I literally have not interacted with him since that moment. Like that was the last time I interacted with him. And I walk up to him and I was like, "Hey, Graham, introduce myself. My name is Armen. I have this podcast. I work with thing, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you remember this, but in 2011, you came to CrossFit LA and we actually worked out together. And I could see in his face, like at first he was like doing the whole like, oh, I'm meeting a fan thing and like smiling. And as I was telling the story, like his face was changing. He was like, oh, fuck, I remember this guy. And so I'm telling him like, yeah, we worked out together and I'm really embarrassed by this, dude. Like I feel bad and I felt bad this entire time. I finished before you and I was kind of like douchey about like cheering you on afterwards and like as if I beat you in a workout. And he goes, yeah, I remember. Good seeing you. I was like, oh no,
Dude.
oh
That was
no, oh no. I'm so sorry. I don't know what the fuck to say.
That's
awesome. I was
awesome.
mortified.
That's
I still
awesome.
am mortified. The guy was like, I remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you. I was like, oh no.
And it was just cold like that.
And just cold. He was just like, yeah, cool. I
That is
remember you.
awesome.
Feel bad about that? All right. Keep feeling bad about it. Like that was it was so not a cathartic release. Like there was no emotional like, oh yeah, man, no problem. Everyone does crazy shit. Like, no, he was just like, I remember. No. Good seeing you. And just like walked away.
Wow.
Have you had any interaction with him since?
No, I have not.
Wow.
That was it. I've two times I've interacted with Graham Holmberg.
I just told Ronnie on the last episode about the first time Kenny introduced me to him. And it was, I had met him prior to that. I met Ronnie. I told this just on the last episode, how I saw Ronnie at Paradiso CrossFit working out in his jean shorts with a gas mask on. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And they were like, it was so funny how David Paradiso answered it. He goes, oh, you don't know? That's Ronnie Teasdale. And I was like, what's with him? He's like, he's eccentric. He's and David's so nice. He's just like, he's an interesting individual. So then I saw Ronnie later that night in Whole Foods and I went up to him and I thought, hey, we'll bond. I was just working out at the same gym. I go up to him. I go, hey dude, I just saw you Paradiso. And he went, yeah, and walked away from me.
Yeah.
So then Kenny introduces me to him at the CrossFit Games. We're like back where the teams are, and his team had made the games. And Kenny's like, oh, you got to meet him. He's a great guy. He's really interesting, blah, blah, blah. And they're wearing the shirts that say CrossFit Mean Streets. I'll shoot you in the fucking face. And,
Yes.
and Kenny goes, Ronnie, this is Eddie Ifft. He's a comedian. He's a co-host with me on the Wodcast. And Ronnie goes, really? Hey. And I go, how's it going? He goes, how's it going? That's my girlfriend. And he points to Andrea. He goes, how do you think it's fucking going?
No, he did not. Oh my God. Ronnie fucking Teasdale, man. Okay, so I have a Ronnie story
He's
too.
the best. He's the best, though. Last week, I just talked to him forever. He is the best.
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Raw,
One time
raw of Earth.
I'm sorry, Raw of Earth and I, in his previous life, we used to hang out a little more often actually than I think even you guys might have realized, because I was one of my best friends, Aris, was training with him constantly at Mean Streets. And so I would hang out with Aris, and Aris was around Ronnie a lot. So we would get lunch, I don't know, maybe every couple of weeks we'd get lunch out here at the Whole Foods in Pasadena. because there's no way I was going to Erewhon, basically. Like it just wasn't going to happen. So we'd hang out all the time. And I remember this one time, Ronnie was like, out of the blue, like literally no context involved here. He just looked at me and said, "You're never going to be as good at CrossFit as I am." I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, we're literally breaking bread. Like, we're having a meal.
Yeah.
Like, why are you coming at me with such violence and just like fucking, like, why would you even say that right now? And then I was like, what are you even talking about? That doesn't make any sense. He's like, I played hockey growing up and you didn't do shit. You probably played video games. I was like, true, but really hurtful. Like, I don't know why you are just being so aggressive with this right now. And that is one of my favorite Ronnie interactions. I love the guy, but like that's one of my favorite interactions with him, just out of nowhere.
I had a very similar one. You know, I was sort of spending a lot of times at Waxman's, just trying to get as much as I could from Sean, just try to understand the barbell basically. And this is, you know, I don't know, 2010 or 11. And he was spending a lot of time there, you know, trying to be as great at CrossFit as he could. And, you know, there's a limited number of platforms, and he sort of bowed up on me. And it was like this sort of like intersection. This is before we, you know, went to the games and we sort of cooled our thing, but he came at me really crunchy over a barbell. And he was basically saying, you can't lift as much as me. And I just said, it doesn't fucking matter. It's not, you know, I'm interested in other things in life, bitch. And, and we had this thing like, you know, my intent is so different than yours. And he was looking at me like I was inferior because I couldn't move the load. And I was looking at him like he was inferior because he couldn't understand anything beyond a fucking barbell. And so I'm like, wait till you grow up, sunshine. I go, I don't care how much you can lift. You haven't lived life like I have. So just.
You should have called him Butthole Sunshine.
And so it was funny because we were kind of like the goon, the hockey goon in him and the martial artist in me. It's like, I don't bow up too much, but this one I was like not backing away from him. And he just like, he diffused pretty easily. He was like, okay, cool. Part of him needed to know, are you going to step to me?
Yeah.
Like at that point in his life. And he's evolved. Like every time I'm seeing him now, he's like, hey man, would you like to try this like green drink? It's like really, it aligns your chakras, and then you can come in it and it gives you power. Like that's in a 10-year window. That's what's happening with Ron. It's like, you know, his evolution has been amazing. But at that point, he was a guy that just needed to literally be treated like a hockey player. Like, dude, if you check me, I'm going to check you back. And it was an interesting moment because I'm like, fuck, am I going to start a fight in Waxman's gym over, I'm not really clear what, you know what I mean? Like,
I wish you guys were around to meet this guy. I can't remember his name right now. I had him as a guest because he wrote to me. And he said, I always get these randoms that are like, hey, I'm a one arm to get this, or I'm blind, or, you know, and I always have them on because I find it like, this is like Logan Aldridge is one of the greatest athletes in the world. You know, the guy with one arm that the guy can beat me in every single sport with one arm. Like you name it. And I've gone over the sports with him and he's like, yeah, I'm like semi-pro at that. And I play that every day. And, you know, I shoot scratch and golf, you know, and you're like, okay. But there was this guy that said, you know, hey, I started this dating app for CrossFitters to meet CrossFitters. And I think it'd be fun to have on your show. By the way, I have one eye and my plastic eye or whatever pops out doing workouts all the time. And I was like, who are you? And when are you coming on the show? And then I met him at the games. Bobby was with me. I'm in his tent at, you know, at the, wherever they sell all the shit. And this guy just starts telling me stories. And I'm like, you are the greatest train wreck ever. He's telling me how he started this company and it was a multi-million-dollar company, and then his board kicked him out, and then he got into this, and then his wife left him, then he lost his eye and his eyeball pops out in the middle of workouts. And we had him pull his eyeball out on the show. And it was just one of those episodes that I was like, how did I get in this life?
Kenny, what are your favorite guests? I feel like we've kind of run through a few of ours.
Yeah, you know, I always really, frankly, I always enjoyed, you know, some of the the guests that would always ask us to pull the episode after we finished.
Yeah.
Which was basically, for the first 2 years, anybody from HQ. And so what would happen, I mean, and this is, I think, good history just for those that are new to your show, Eddie, like at the beginning, like Armen would, so I basically booked everybody at the beginning of the show, the first, like more or less got most of the people to come on. And then what would happen is that, you know, they would say to me before the show, hey, I'm not going to get in trouble, right? So you're asking a question, first of all, that I can't answer. I don't even, it's hard for me to contextualize what does trouble mean. And really what they're saying is, will I be employed after doing the Wodcast podcast, which is, I mean, that's a lot to sort of unpack right there. It just implies that there was a state of fear for going on a very amateur talk show at best in this weirdly specific thing of CrossFit. It still hadn't even peaked at its interest. I remember 2011, 12, 13.
I like how they're asking you before the show too, not after the show.
Yeah. And then inevitably what would happen is any of the HQ guests that we'd have on would the next day get a call or email. So once it posted, they're like, hey, can you take it down? I'm like, well, here's the thing about the internet down. And it was just sort of like, and I was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And we're having like amicable conversations. Like I would call Eddie stress. And then I would just speak to Armen, like kind of plainly, like, hey, Armen, like, it's cool that you speak your mind, comma, these people are doing this thing professionally and it's how they make a living. So like, you don't, you know, and it's funny because, you know, society and media is in the same dilemma right now. Do you actually say what you think? And is it for profit? And who's profiting and who's fucked when you say it? Like, it's just only worse now. But back then it was, you know, anybody who came from HQ, like, and they just kind of like, it was their first time outside of HQ media doing, because we were the only thing. I mean, Barbell Shrugged was doing it, but theirs was more like almost in many ways informational, and what ours was, I would say, just more entertaining. And so they were coming on an entertainment show and just kind of like, I can take my shoes off and there's jokes and just having like fun with it. And so there's a freedom that they probably weren't experiencing other places, let's say. And then, and so I found that like, when I think back, just seeing people kind of like come in tight, end up loose, and the next day go, can we take it off?
Back in tight.
Yeah, back in tight. So like the full circle. So
oh, sorry to interrupt. I'll never forget when I wrote Rory McKernan an email, and I was like, hey man, you gotta come on the podcast sometime. And he was like, yeah, I will. I gotta find some time. So I had to hit him up a few times, and all of a sudden I get this email back from him, and he had never put two and two together that it was Armen that I was working with. Yep. And all of a sudden he just went off on me, and he's like, and I was like, whoa. And I wrote back, I was like, what the fuck? Like, and he's like, if you're with the haters, you are a hater. You know, if you're against, you know, like you're either with us or against us, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We just have fun and we shoot the shit. And, you know, like we're not doing anything and he's like, no, man, you guys are haters and da, da, da. And I had to kind of like fight back a bit and say like, you know what? I'm a good adversary, and you don't want to turn me against you. And I've been very good to CrossFit, and now you're trying to make an enemy out of me. That's a bad thing to do. And I guess Rory eventually came on, but I think it was after Armen left the show.
It was after I left because I actually have met Rory. I mean, a few times now, but the first time that we interacted, it was it must have been October of 2018, maybe October of 2019.
Oh, that late. Oh.
Yeah. And I was invited, it must have been 18. I was invited up to HQ by Greg Glassman because he had just started the MD L1s, like the doctor L1s or whatever. And he gave me a call. At that point, he'd already like flushed out regionals and like rejiggered the entire CrossFit Games season and was kind of like asserting himself as the guy who's going to be involved day to day in the operations. And so he gave me a call and he was like, hey, I have this event. You should come up, just see what the MDL one's all about. CrossFit Health is really important to me. Like, okay, Greg, sure. Why not? So, he flew me out there, like stayed in a hotel or whatever, went and watched part of the MDL one, participated in some of the panels and stuff. But in the in between time, they gave us a couple tours of the office. This is in Santa Cruz at the old headquarters. And just maybe 2 months prior to that, in the other podcast that I had, Scale is Needed, with which two of our co-hosts were filmmakers, documentary filmmakers specifically, and sports documentary filmmakers specifically. They had basically come out and shit all over CrossFit media and been like, listen, they're getting fired, but that's okay. Like they weren't great at what they did. They were good for like the propaganda, but in terms of filmmaking, like they were really shit at making films. And I was like, I wasn't even a part of that like commentary. I was just in the room and I was like, yeah, it's pretty fucking funny. All right, cool. And then like the conversation moved on. So it had been circulated at CrossFit HQ that the guy from that podcast, Armen Hammer, was coming to HQ.
Oh God.
So I was invited by Greg, who at that time was very adversarial with his own employees because he had just like cut out 100 people or 150 people. And he had like, completely, flushed the toilet on the CrossFit Games season to reset it all. And everybody was like, what the fuck is this CrossFit Health thing? We're not even putting like CrossFit Games athletes on the Instagram anymore. Like all this stuff was going on. So like I had many, many strikes against me. And the first time I realized that something was absolutely fucking wrong, members of the CrossFit media team cornered me in their own office and were like, so you're the motherfucker talking shit about our work. And I was like, I don't know you. Like,
Name names. Who was it?
It was
The Buttery Brothers?
actually no. I didn't meet them until another year or so after that.
Because I couldn't see them as being contentious or
No, I met, it was the first person that confronted me was his first name's Michael. I forget his last name. He was on Instagram as like Michael Hustle, or Michael is Hustle. He's a great guy. We actually have a fun relationship. Like over the years after that, we traveled a lot into the various same events at the same time. But that first time he was like, you're that motherfucker that's like talking shit about the media crew. And he was one of the guys that had been like fired and brought back as a contractor to help with the media when they realized, oh fuck, we actually need people to know what they're doing to be involved in this thing. We can't just fire everybody. What the hell's going on? But I met Rory that night at Greg's place. He does like a taco night for everybody. He does like a little party thing. Met Rory that night, and Rory pulled me aside and was like, man, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed that you would be like that. And I was like, Rory, what are you even talking about? Like, the standard that entire organization tried to hold everyone outside of the organization to was thrown so hilariously and embarrassingly into their faces once all the stories started coming out of the type of organization that they actually were a part of, that like you can't be that hypocritical and be in everybody's faces. And I'm not saying like, oh, Roar is this awful hypocritical person. That's not what I'm saying. It's very nice, great guy. We've had a lot of conversations since then. It's just that first interaction when they basically see somebody outside of the organization as this unbelievable hater and this unbelievable critic who never says anything positive. And they've been indoctrinated to believe that I'm the other, that me, just because I have like a podcast and like talked a little bit of critical shit to them, like I'm the unbelievable outsider and the enemy. It's like, listen, man, there's clearly bigger things that you have to be worrying about, even within your own organization, than me being out here saying like, maybe some of the propaganda you're putting out could be better narratively.
But they were, in the beginning, they were very, very, and we used to talk about this a lot. There was an insecurity of, they didn't want to let anyone in. They were very insular, and anyone that tried to break in, it was like, nope, this is ours. They were very possessive of it. And I think it came back to bite a lot of them in the ass because, the person or the people that were protecting them just went, see you guys. And they were like, wait a minute. And then they all turned on them. And there was this like feeding frenzy going on. And then everybody was like, well, who should we trust? And I kind of thought that was eventually going to happen at some point. You know, you always see it. And I was like, they can't stick together. Like, this is not the mafia. There is no way, or if it is like the mafia, they're going to start turning on each other. And at some point, and they did. I mean, there was an unraveling to the point where the owner, I think about this all the time. The owner, the guy who created it, he had full control, full ownership, and he created this thing, and they kicked him out of his own thing. like they got the leader, the owner, the creator, it was his, and they were like, no, you're canceled. I've never seen anything like that. And I think was it Ronnie and I talking about it last week about how it happened so quickly, quickly. Like, no one sat and like, let's ride this out and see what's happening, and let's talk about it. It was like the next day, everybody's like, I'm de-affiliating.
Yeah, and by the way, that never happened. Like, everybody that said that, which is a whole interesting side note to the hypocrisy of the time. But and I want to take this back because this is kind of fun too. When we referred to this earlier in the show, Armen was kicked out of the CrossFit Games, and I don't remember 2012 or 13.
12,
I don't know what year was it? 12. And so at which point, you know, Eddie and I had a lot of guests lined up for the rest of the day, and all of them started going, I heard I can't do your show. Like, people who weren't even in the organization. So we had we're going to bank like 30 episodes. And then all of them were evaporating. Like John Gilson, who owned, again, Pastor.
John Gilson, it happened. We were talking to John Gilson while it happened. Armen gets taken away, and he looks at us and he goes, should I be talking to you?
Wait, and this is a fun side story. As we're having recording the show live, they're looking, they come in, they take Armen out. Are you Armen Hammer? Which is even funnier.
Justin Berg, by the way.
Yeah.
Justin Berg.
This is why I wanted to bring it up. He's now the director of the games. So how full circle is this from your perspective? Like, you got kicked out of the thing.
Are you allowed back into the games now, or will Justin make sure?
Okay. So I actually have
I have one before you get to it. I want to know, when you were removed, we remember, it looked like there were guys, I swear to God, I could be wrong, but I remember this pretty well. They looked like they were wearing like black suits, like suits, like a tracksuit.
Yeah. They brought the security, the behind the scenes security, not like the ticket takers, like security at like the gate. Like, they brought like their security to escort me out.
When that security escorted you out, was there ever a physical touching? Like, did they have a hand on your arm?
No.
Nothing.
Nobody touched me.
Okay.
Nobody touched me.
Okay.
Nobody touched me. So one of the consequences, I don't want to say consequences. One of the things that happens when you have the types of experiences that I've had within the space, many of which have been adversarial, is that over the years that I've continued to like stay in the space and stay active, I've re-engaged with a lot of these people, a lot of them. And
they like you, they see you for you, and you've also grown up.
Correct.
You've become a man in this process.
There's one exception to that.
Justin Berg.
No. Actually,
damn it.
Dave is the exception to that. Dave's the exception to that. I have a couple of interactions with Dave that have just continued to not be savory since then, over the past 10 years. But anyway, Justin Berg. So the games were in Madison. God, it must have been, I want to say it was like it was either the 2018 game. It must have been the 2018 games, because it was right after everything shut down. And it was right when I was first starting to start my channel. And I had shown up to Madison, and I was on my own, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some coverage. I'm going to do some preview content. It's going to be really good. I show up to the venue before the games kicked off, like the day before the games kicked off. And I was like, okay, I need a good shot of like the Coliseum, but I can't get into the grounds. So I drove around or I walked around the parking lot, and I saw the gate that they used to actually load the Coliseum. It's like kind of like a side entrance gate out of the parking lot. There's a gap in the fence. I was like, perfect. I'm going to stand in the gap in the fence. I have a clear, unobstructed view of the Coliseum behind me. I'm going to get a really good shot. I'm going to be able to do this like preview thing. And I'm like, holding my camera, doing like the vlogger deal, recording this like preview. And I hear, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I turn and there's like three cars that just pulled into the parking lot. This parking lot is like 1,000 car parking lot. There's no other cars and there's no reason for a car to be near me. And they just pulled into the parking spot like 50 feet away from me. One's a Porsche, which was that was the year that Porsche was sponsoring the games. And so part of their deal was they provided cars for the executives at CrossFit and some of the athletes. And I was like, holy shit, like that's either Dave or Justin. Like I'm fucked. That's either Dave or Justin. And I'm standing technically where I shouldn't be standing, but I'm not like breaking in. I'm just like standing where I shouldn't be standing. And Justin Berg gets out of the car and I was like, God damn it. Like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Like this, I'm finally here on my own, making content for my own channel. And I'm doing this thing that's going to help them by like drumming up support for their event. And I'm like, I look like I'm doing something completely against the rules. And he walks up and he's like, I like stop recording or whatever. He walks up and he's like, I'm just fucking with you. What are you doing here? And I like explained what I was doing. And that was the first time we had a conversation. We sort of like talked for like 5 minutes because obviously he's super busy. It's the day before the games. And I was like, JB, like before you leave, do you remember in 2012, I was in the middle of recording a podcast and you walked into the room and he said, which one of you is Armen Hammer? And then you and like 5 other people escorted me out and kicked me out. And he looked at me and he's really tall. So I was like looking him in the eyes and he's like looking down, like looked at me and he goes, I remember, but I had no fucking idea who you were. Someone higher up than me called me and said, Justin, your job right now is to go find this guy and get him off the property.
The best part about this is you're responding to Armen Hammer, and clearly it was a situation where you were going to be in trouble. And the opportunity that you missed was like, I'm Armen Amirian. I don't know. Armen Hammer went that way. It's like, that's all you had to do. And Eddie and I would have followed suit. That literally we would have had 6 more shows in the can if you just like,
We don't know who Armen Hammer. We think he was in here earlier, but and
but
he was talking shit too. He was talking shit on everybody. When I interviewed Lauren Glassman's ex-wife, I went to her house in Oregon, and I was doing shows in Portland, and I forget who connected me, and I went over to her place, and that was maybe the most interesting experience, one of the most interesting experiences of my life.
Sure.
And I told her off air that story because we kept everything kind of above board. And, there were a few drinks being put back during that episode. And so after we went off the air, she started to discuss what happened to you. And she's like, oh, he's lucky. That's all that happened to him. like she was like, they've like almost like alluding to they've done much worse, or they can really. And I was like, oh, shut up. Like they're not. Yeah. No. But
paper tigers all around.
Yes. But look, they created something, and I see it all the time with TV projects and whatever it is in Hollywood. When somebody has something and it takes off, like CrossFit took off, they want to possess it so much that any outsider that comes to pull it down at all or try to break into it, they're like, fuck you. This is ours, and we will kill for it because of the meteoric success of it. And when the success is going, but once CrossFit started to peak and then come down, people started to get fired. There was descent in the ranks. All of a sudden, they're like, Armen, come on, we're friends.
Yeah, totally.
And I always knew that was going to happen.
And the same thing happened to you with Eddie. I mean, Armen and you both got like calls to do media stuff that you like until that point, until they dissolved a good chunk of the media portion of the company. You guys were
persona non gratis.
Excommunicated, but then it was just like, no, we need them to communicate, and it was an interesting an interesting re-entry. Just observing that from like a adjacent lens to both of you through the years. it is interesting to see how the evolution of the personality of the organization continues to change. Like there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of, I'm not on any social media, but I feel like there's, and even not being, I still feel like there's a lot of talk about Castro being fired and stuff. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. But from my perspective, I look at that and just go, what seems like a natural evolution of the thing. And I think, I'm hearing people be catastrophic about that. This is the beginning of the end and all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, and this is where it like kind of concerns me, like that kind of thinking, like we've seen so much evolution in this thing. The CrossFit still stands by itself.
Yeah.
Like unto itself.
Yeah.
It stands.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think everybody loses sight of giving the personality so much power versus the very ideas themselves are what have united, so many people. And it kind of like, I find it a little bit disheartening that like, there's just so much like oppositional tension off of like these little moves that are made. It's like, it's so dramatic one way or the other. And it's like, man, this is the 18th year of our business. And it's just sort of like 18 years. It's just sort of like,
it proved it proved CrossFit was bigger than Glassman. And it's bigger than
like,
Armen and I had the discussion on the phone about Glassman when he was removed, and we obviously are on different sides of it. I had Greg or Dave on the show and loved the guy. I was like, if I could hang out with this guy, I would hang out with him all the time. Like he just, to me, I think he's a very, I think he's very loyal. He's very, and I also think what he created was exceptional. And I think I produce events or things at times, and it's impossible. I'm shooting my special Saturday night, and all the things that could go wrong. And this is just a little special at a, comedy club. Whereas this guy had a major event with major sponsors and competitors from all over the world. Such a hard fucking job. And just to pull it off as well as they did, I thought it was exceptional. Now, Armen, I truly believe, has his reasons for what he's about to say, but they're completely personal.
That's okay. Here's what I'm going to say about Dave. And then I actually want to say something about what Kenny just said about CrossFit being bigger than Greg, because I actually brought that up to his face one of the last times that I interviewed him. I think that I actually completely agree with you, Eddie. I just add a little bit extra to it. I think that Dave was really good at his job. He was exceptionally good at doing what he did. Camera, come back. There we go. I don't know why my camera does that. He was exceptionally good at his job. He put on a fantastic event, world class. Machete's calling.
Oh, hold on. Let's get him on.
Yeah.
Machete.
Yo.
We're recording the 500th episode of the Wodcast, and I'm here with I'm here with Armen and Kenny, and we're talking about all the hard work you've done over the years making all those edits.
Holy shit, yeah, dude. That's insane. I didn't know you guys were recording that right now.
Yeah, you're being recorded right now. I must tell you that under the wiretapping law. Yeah.
Machete!
We were just laughing Armen was listening to episode 1 earlier, and he said on the episode we talk about how Ernie will fix this in post. And now none of it's fixed.
None of it's fixed. Oh yeah, for sure. Edit that out.
There's always the Machete head nod. Edit that out. I got it. Yeah. I got it.
Not gonna do it. Got
it. Mental note. 2614. Yeah. I'll edit that out.
Yeah, and then I'll smoke a lot of weed and forget. I was like, what was I supposed to do? Whatever.
Some guy's gonna lose his job over this. Who cares?
Yeah.
Well, would love to have you on here. So I called you earlier to see if you wanted to be on, but
Yeah. All right, yeah. It looks like I missed it, but 500 fucking episodes. Goddamn, though, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you for all your hard work over the years, all those edits you've made.
Yeah, totally. And counting. I mean, you're kind of on one hand.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got anybody in trouble, like I probably have got you in trouble a few times, right?
Just a few.
Yeah.
You know what? If you ever made those edits, you would have some stuff like in a hard drive somewhere that you could just destroy careers. But at this point, they were already destroyed. You'd be sitting on something that you could go back and be like, all right, give me $100,000 or I'm going to play this. I'll publish this. So
wait, is the show 10 years old?
10 years old on February 20th.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. We've done 500 episodes.
We've grown so much.
Be honest, Machete, when we started it, how long did you think we'd last?
I don't know, man. A year, maybe a year, 6 months. I was like, I don't know. I needed money at the time. I was like, give me the gig. Let's go. I'm down to record, but not edit.
Yeah, I thought we'd last 5 episodes.
Yeah, it's insane to think it's lasted 10 years and still going.
Yeah, crazy. All right. Well, hey, thanks for all your hard work, and thanks for showing up for the show.
For sure.
I'll see you Saturday, I hear.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
See me there.
All right, cool. All right, later.
See you later.
Oh, I am here to talk to you about CBD. Are you jumping on with everyone else in the world and getting CBD and trying CBD? My wife just had COVID, and she swears by the CBD she was taking that it helped her get through COVID. Now, nobody's going to make a claim to that, but it just helped her sleep better. And when I decided that I wanted to try CBD, because you know me, I look to like hack and find out what's best for me and what's going to, what's going to make me feel better, what's going to make me healthy, what are other people doing, blah, 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 blah. Well, I looked around trying to find out which CBD company was the best out there, which product, who was making the healthiest, best, most natural product out there. And I didn't have to look far because I found CBD MD, which was the most quality CBD out there. They do things differently. They've got, all of these world-class athletes are using it. And especially even in the CrossFit world, you've got people like Justin Medeiros and Annie Thor's daughter and athletes. And most athletes I talk to are using CBD in some extent. And there's many, many ways to use it, from tinctures and oils and supplementing and taking it as a sleep aid. So many different people are taking it. But I found out that like the smartest, the people that know what they're doing are the best athletes, CBDMD. That's who they're with. This is when we're talking about CBD, a lot of people think marijuana, and no, this is THC free. There is 0 THC, comes from the hemp plant, but they've eliminated the presence of THC with every single CBDMD product. So you don't have to worry about that. If you want that, go get that somewhere else. This is not about that. This is about alleviating inflammation. This is about making you feel better. This is, lessening anxiety, making you sleep better. And there are so many different products that you can get. I'm going to just go through a few of my favorites. I've been skiing a lot lately, going out to the mountains, and I've been getting like dry lips. And my wife told me, she's like, you got to use their what's it called? Lip balm. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it works. It just wish you could, women, they've all, been putting stuff on their lips their whole life, lipstick and lip balm. And it's not a very manly thing to do. And so, it's like you get chapstick or whatever. I used this CBD MD lip balm, and I was like, oh my God, she wasn't lying. This is the best stuff I've ever used. They've got gummies, they've got soft gels, they've got capsules, they've got products for, you name it. They've got them for relief. They've got them for, some of the other things. Some of their, the one that I use, I don't know the name of it. I want to name it for you because it's so good. It's, here it is. It's a roll-on that I used. I was having trouble with my elbows, and I just couldn't get the inflammation out of my elbows, and I didn't know what it was. It was some kind of tendonitis, and so I used this roll-on, and it was just awesome. It was like, I'm not going to say it was a miracle, but I know it wasn't a placebo, because for 6 months, no, longer than, you know how long I've been just complaining about my elbows. Well, I started using Freeze. It's called Freeze, CBDMD Freeze. Just started rolling this stuff on, and sure enough, all the pain going away. I don't know how, but it's great. Check it out. Check out all their products. They have so many products at CBDMD. They've got them for your pets if you need them. They've got skincare. They've got body care. They've got capsules. They've got drinks. They've got bath salts. They've got bath bombs. They've got body care. You name it. Massage oils. There's so many. Check out their website. It's cbdmd.com. That's cbdmd.com. And I'm sure we're going to give you, we're going to hook you up over here, okay? We're going to give you 25% off if you use the code WOD, W-O-D, at checkout. That's WOD. You're getting 25% off. Go to cbdmd.com. Get 25% off. Try the Freeze. Just try the Freeze. That's. I want you to try that. Once you try that, you're going to be like, oh my God, I want to try everything else they have, because it will work so well for you. And that's it. cbdmd.com. Promo code WOD, 25% off.
That's
Man.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I was saying, I think Dave is exceptionally good at his job. He did an incredible thing. The games are absolutely a sort of reflection of his skill and talent and hard work at putting them on. But I think anybody who's going into this as like, oh my God, Dave's gone, it's the end of CrossFit. You're downplaying the fact that there's been literally hundreds of people involved in the teams that are putting together that event. And those same people are still going to be putting on the event. And maybe you can remove Dave, but his effect on those teams and his leadership, while it was very good and, maybe even exceptional, if you want to go that far, is not above replacement. There's a handful, not very many, but there's a handful of people already operating in the space who can lead those teams to events that are just as good, if not better. And I think the people who are most upset about this just lose sight of the fact that Dave was really good at what he did, but his ego and his frailty to criticism outside of his teams is one of the reasons why it felt so stagnant over the past few years. There's only so many times you can see the same types of things thrown out there and the same mistakes made before you start trying to figure out where you can fix those things. And I think just any sort of refresh on the leadership involved is absolutely a positive. And it's also who's blindsided by this? Who's blindsided by this? If anything, it was a year too late.
Well, I could not believe when Glassman was ousted. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I'm just when do they announce that Dave's gone too? Just because he was his right-hand man in a sense. I mean, we all know there was a bit of, friction there, and that, the egos clashing. But I thought there's no way that Castro's going to last. And then cut to, the next games he's there. And I went, wow, maybe there was a huge division or a huge divide between him and Glassman, that he was able to say, look, obviously I'm not involved in that at all, and move on with Rosa. But obviously not enough. And everybody has their opinions and whatever it is. And, oh, he posted this, or, that a few weeks before he got fired, he posted a picture of a pig and I talked on the podcast. We talked all about pig hunting, and he's very into that. And there's nothing, if you're a hunter, the boars, they're a pest, and they're also really good eating, and they're on his like there's nothing wrong with that. And I myself don't like to hunt, but I'm not against it, and I'm not going to especially post a photo of me with a dead animal because I love animals so much. But that's like part of that culture, and I don't find anything wrong with that, or like that's
You're not offended by that.
No, I don't, and I don't know how anyone could be. And I was saying after that happened, I was like, he lost like a couple 100,000 followers, I heard that day. And I was like, I'll bet you half of them eat bacon. Half of them. And so like, that's really weird that people would get that offended by that photo. But then I don't know if it was that photo. I think it was the next photo where he posted a picture of him and Glassman together.
Yeah, that was the week before he got fired. I don't think that those have anything to do with. I don't think the only relationship his social media has with him being fired is the fact that he did everything in his power to make his Instagram account the most important Instagram account in the entirety of the CrossFit Games. And by the way, this isn't a controversial thing for me to say of like, oh my God, Armen's such a fucking hater. Justin Berg just sent an email to literally everyone on CrossFit's email list. I'm not there as a trainer or media or anything. It's just anyone who gets the CrossFit email of the day. He literally just sent an email to everyone introducing himself as the new director of the CrossFit Games. And the first thing he says in there is the big change we're going to make this year has to do with how we communicate. You're not going to see any communication outside of official channels. So the fact that they are bringing that up, and for 10 years, I've basically been railing on like, why does anybody have to follow Dave's dog's Instagram account to have hints as to what the open workouts are going to be? That's fucking dumb. And now it's like, oh my God, Armen, you're such a fucking hater. And now that he's gone, and the first thing they come out and say is like, we're not going to do that shit anymore because it's really fucking dumb. It's like, oh, shocker. Like someone who wants to professionalize the sport actually knows here are the weak links in the chain. You can very easily fix this. This no longer needs to be the way things are done.
Kenny's got his opinions about social media and everything, and I'm not the biggest fan at all, but I always find it weird when anyone in a position of power,
holy shit, the hour of power.
Yeah. When anyone in a position of power that's high up in any organization decides to go to social media, and I'm like, what are you thinking? It can only go badly for you. You've already attained this position, this status, and going for this, like, it seems like it's all ego at that point. And it's like, don't go there. Like I've always said, if I was super successful and had like a giant movie career and Hollywood was making all my movies, I would delete every single thing I had and be like, I'm out of here. I only use it as promotion but like when you're already at that position, why have any of that? It can only hurt you. It can only nothing good is going to come of it. And I think what happens, I see these people, I listen to a podcast of the guy that's like Biden's advisor on COVID. And I'm like, why? And he does ads on it. And I'm like, what are you doing, buddy? Like, what are you doing? like, just, this can only go badly. Like, stop. But everybody seems to do it. Everybody at some point just goes, I think I should do a podcast, or I think I should, work on my Instagram account. And I just, to use it to help you promote yourself on the way up, once you get there. And I just think Castro should have stayed away from it.
I think, and this is more of like a philosophical point, that when you look at something like a behavior, unless your base assumption is that the person executing that behavior is incompetent, you should, especially if you have evidence to the contrary that they are very competent, you should assume that the outcome they're getting is the outcome they wanted to get, that they're actually doing the thing effectively that they're trying to do. So when Dave releases a book, and in the book, he's like, I hate social media. I hate being in front of the cameras. I hate being part of the attention. I hate the attention being on me. And you're reading this in the book that he released about himself. and the CrossFit Games, intimately linking those two things as equivalents. And you're reading about the events being announced exclusively on his Instagram account. And you're reading about his Instagram account was very important to him. It was incredibly important to him. He spent a lot of time and effort making his Instagram account as big as it was. It wasn't an accident. And he put a lot of work into it. And that wasn't like, oh, I just wanted to share my reading habits with the CrossFit community. There was a calculated effort in creating an Instagram account that was going to be solely tied to his role as like the arbiter of the CrossFit Games. That was what his goal was. And I think he did that exceptionally well, because right after Glassman came out and said regionals are gone, he spent like 15 months posting about anything and everything that wasn't CrossFit. He just didn't post about CrossFit for like almost a year, maybe a little bit longer. And you know, I think a big part of that is like just more evidence that you can't create an equivalency with an organization and the one person with it, without running into a lot of problems down the line. Like it happens, it happens a lot, but that cult of personality, that's been such a big part of CrossFit from the beginning. Like as much as everyone in CrossFit, at least really, really early on, was like super anti-establishment and like kind of going against the grain, it felt like everyone was also looking for someone to lead them through that. And we glommed onto people who were exceptionally good at finding that in their audience and massaging it and sort of watering it and growing it. You know, Greg was a cult of personality. He still is. He still has a ton of people who are just 100% in, regardless of anything that has happened, anything that he's done. Dave's the same way. Very, very good at seeing what people's needs are in like the type of leader they're looking for and being that person for them. And I think that's really good and useful to a certain extent, but at a certain point it becomes self-defeating. I was saying, you know, Kenny brought up this whole thing of like, you know, CrossFit's bigger than Greg. And we've seen that that's the case. Like, you know, in 2019, one of the last times I interviewed Greg in person, I asked him straight up, what's your succession plan? Like, you're getting old. You're not like going to die, but you're probably going to want to retire at some point. And running the day-to-day of this business is clearly not something you've been interested in historically. So why would I assume you're going to be interested in it in the future? Who's next? Like, who's going to be CEO? Who's going to take over after you leave? And this was in September of 19. So this was just less than a year from him being removed from his own company.
What was his answer?
It was the first time I've ever seen him at a loss for words. He was like, no one's ever asked me that before. I don't know what the answer to that is. I think there's a team here that'll be able to take on whatever challenges are after I'm gone. And I was like, oh, so like even you don't see the fact that this organization will continue without you there. Like there is no planning involved of like, after I'm gone, X, Y, and Z should be the mission of this thing. You know, it was all very much in his mind and the organization that was built around that tied to what he was doing. And so like, I remember even telling him, hey man, like you let the cat out of the bag once you released like those first 5 journal articles. Like once you told everyone what is fitness, here's what theoretical, you know, hierarchy of fitness, here's what it should look like, here's how it's applied, it's over. The methodology is out. Like people are going to find it and they're going to do it forever. And the only thing you're basically adding at this point is like protecting the affiliates who want to do it with your name. But even if everything failed, people would still be doing this thing because it works. And that's another thing that Kenny mentioned is like, it changed the game for a lot of people around the world because it's actually a practical and applicable methodology for a lot of people around the world. And, you know, I think there's a big come to Jesus moment when in 2013, the like existential threat was Anthos, was Lauren selling her shares to Anthos, right? And in 2020, everyone was like,
let's sell
private
down.
equity me
Yeah.
harder, daddy.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And here we are.
I asked many people right after Glassman left this question, and it was funny because I would ask people very close to him that maybe knew and didn't want to answer, but I would go, where do you think Greg is right now? Right now. And I think I used to joke, I was like, if I was him, I'd be on an island somewhere, that I would practically own. And I'd be having and they're like, that's not Greg's deal. That's not his thing. And I'm like, where is he? Where is he right now? And what's he doing? And some people gave me hints and everything. And I've actually talked about getting him on the show. I guess he has an NDA, and
his NDA ended January 1st, 2022.
Right.
So you will absolutely be able to get him on the show if you want him on the show.
Yeah.
What's funny, Eddie, is that the last time that I saw him personally was in Kauai. I was running an event, like a corporate retreat for a bunch of guys. And I was in one of the nice hotels on the north side of the island. And I look over, there's Greg. I'm like, hey, Greg, I need to put a few back already. He's like, I'm like, hey man, Kane from CrossFit LA. He's like, yeah, woo. It was just sort of like, and we spent a couple moments together, but it was like he was already a few in, and he's got a place in Kauai. I think one of the interesting things, Armen, as you're talking,
did he not want to engage about it at all or anything? Or
no, it was just going to be topical. There was, and this is pre all the stuff. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. So
this is before he was.
This is before. This is before.
Oh, okay.
But my guess is, I know that he has a spot not far from where I was.
Yeah.
But what I was going to bring up is that it's interesting listening to you talk, Armen, and from my perspective, in the direction that we shifted in 2013, and what's lost in I think so much of this is that, you say CrossFit, and there's almost like a tale of two CrossFits. There's a tale of the sport, which is one thing, and then there's the tale of the lifestyle, and they're very different things. I've said this since the beginning of our show 10 years ago, but I really think that one of the things that I've seen personally as an affiliate owner is the communication. So I saw the email from Justin, and just a level of openness to communication, because that was so much of the feedback that happened right as it was building into Greg leaving. And then once he did, there was a lot of scramble to kind of find out, hey, what's going on in the affiliate community? Because for so long, so much energy still has gone into the sport, and the real efficacy of the thing is like this human health thing. And Greg was driving that. So it's interesting just to think how extraordinary what he was doing with CrossFit Health. Like I like when he started moving that direction, I was like, this is where we needed to go 7 years ago. And yet we can't help as human beings to go look at the more shiny thing, which is the sport, the pinnacle. And yet there's still 8 billion people that can use this because only 5 fucking million are doing it. Like, think about how little that's still, and in all of our worlds who are listening to this podcast, our lives, like my whole livelihood is off this thing. Armen, the last 10 years of your life, Eddie, you've got a thing that pays you on the side based on this stuff. And
I never realized that small percentage, the 5 million of 8 billion, and just how tiny that is.
And this is just broad numbers. And there might be another million more doing it on their own, but
yeah,
that's it.
But still so like such a fraction.
And what the organization's doing right now is going, look, Greg put down so much meaningful stuff. His legacy, his intellectual legacy is undeniable. You're right, Armen. Like, look, we joked for many years about our gym being put in the black. Like we weren't to be part of anything in the media. And yet here we were, like, we could help so many other affiliates lead and do things. Anyway. So, but because of the fear and all the things that you guys addressed earlier, like there was these protective behaviors. And look, any organization that starts with the middle finger and anybody that leads with the middle finger, at some point you go, right, Pennywise, you're 51 and you have kids and you live in Orange County. Like, we can still do the bro him, but is it really still the bro him? I mean, at some point, like there needs to be an evolution. And the thing that I appreciate what they're doing right now is there are so many competent people in the organization, and they are, for the first time in this last year, endeavoring to hear the broader community beyond this sort of myopic lens that Dave provided. And what an extraordinary job he did in making this thing so spectacular that it was like I mean, just seeing this uncommonality or this uncommon capability of humans doing, like, it's just like, what? Even the things that you guys, we predicted a lot of things, but there's no way we were predicting any of this stuff. I mean, just
No,
as far as performance goes.
no,
it's just
no.
like,
The progression is on another level.
insane.
I would have never predicted, because if you look at other sports, you know, like how much faster people are running the 100-meter dash or swimming the 50 or whatever it might be, to see the leap from in 10 years, it's insane to the point of unfathomable. Like, totally. I cannot believe that human beings are capable of this, and that they've moved so far past the regular sect of the population. Like, before, they were already inhuman, you know, like the Jason Khalipas and what they were doing. It was like, wow, these guys are like far superior to everyone else. But there was a little thing in everybody's brain, like, if I worked hard, maybe I could get to that level. Where now it's like, everybody's like, no way. You have to be in this, you have to be an alien to be able to do what these people are doing.
Level of commitment and precision and all of it. And so, you know, as I look back at the last decade, and, you know, my reflection, just being in, and I was very inside the circle of the sale, and you know, looking back at that, I mean, first of all, he was going to have to sell, just knowing what those figures were. It's like, well, who wouldn't?
So you were doing that. I have a question for you before you answer that. How much did you buy your gym for?
Oh, the straight face, that was so strong. You almost had him. You could see, like, Kenny was about
look
to
on
open
his face.
mouth. He was like, oh, Kenny was getting ready to tell you he's not going to tell you how much Greg sold for. That's what Kenny was getting ready to tell you. And then you hit him with the 1-2, and he was like,
yep.
So just by the way, just for reference, as Scott McGee hosted at various points, it was probably the first time with Armen, Eddie, and Scott present, they really saw me fairly angry, because I told them once, I'm not going to answer the question.
We grilled you.
and they just couldn't stop asking the question. And I'm still, Eddie, you're never going to find out.
I know, but I'll never stop asking.
I know.
Kenny, I'll be at your funeral, and you'll be, or like you'll have your hospital bed. You'll be on your dying breath, and I'm gonna be like, Kenny, I'm gonna say a prayer for you, but you better tell me right now, what did you pay for that gym? Do you know the number? Do you know the number on CrossFit? Because I've heard behind closed door, you know, like, and I don't think anybody's. But
what's your guess?
The number I've heard.
I know the number. I'm not going to say one way or another.
Okay, Armen, what have you? I've heard 200 million.
Okay, that's interesting. You've heard that number.
Why you guys?
I've heard a lot of numbers.
Why are you guys letting me say the number and both of you are holding back on your?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying I've also heard many numbers. I've heard phone numbers. I've heard social security numbers. I've heard numbers.
You know.
Yeah.
I thought I got it from a good source.
Who was it?
I can't tell you that. No. Really good source.
Keeping it tight. But yeah, I think one of the things, Armen, that you brought up too, and this is what's really interesting about, you know, what I see as the successes and failures and so much of the community. And you brought it up really well, which is, if the leaders aren't thinking around the corner of their personality, and even in the micro gym communities, you have either coaches or owners that are their own sort of, you know, cult of personality, and you have to very intentionally, in my view, calm that, because if you don't, you can't maintain sort of continuity, legacy, and just a continuance of the organization itself. And that's interesting. I didn't know that you had to ask Greg that, but just, I see a lot of gyms fail because they're based on one person energetically, and you simply cannot run an organization that way. And even as I listen to you, I'm thinking about, I was meeting with one of my coaches earlier today, and what we're actively talking about as a team is, I'm telling my team, hey, I want to be in this position by mid-year. I want to either be in like 4 or 5 distinct positions. I either want to be able to sell outright, either to keep it outright, either to partner some other people in to sell to a third party, or dissolve the organization altogether and have a fire sale for equipment. And I don't know. And the reason
that was every option possible.
Yeah, but in so doing, in a team environment, we're also facilitating an organization that doesn't look like Kenny being the leader. It's like, look, the legacy that I'm leaving behind is the philosophy that we've cultivated over the last, my lifetime, but like certainly the last decade, of like, how do we look at this thing structurally and organizationally so that other people can step into the leadership role, run it in the way that they see fit, but under principles of leadership. And that's how we've structured our organization. So now I can have these very productive conversations with coaches that look like, hey, I can go left, I can go right, I can spin a web any side, because none of us want to be backed in the corner. And all of us believe absolutely in what we're doing, wholeheartedly, with passion, with purpose, and we're doing it. And, what was going to happen is that, like, several years ago, it was going to be, when I was coaching the team back in 11 and 12, and as I was kind of making my way through here, it was going to be, the cult of Kenny. And I never wanted that. I mean, this was one of the reasons why I retired from stand-up. It's like, look, this is if that becomes the thing, then I've got to go sell that thing. And then if I have a bad day, which I'm prone to have, when people ask me how much I sell things for or buy things for, it just pisses me off.
God damn it. And Eddie, why are you pissing off Kenny Kane?
Sorry, Kenny.
So,
but I get it. You say the cult of Kenny, and that's what I thought about CrossFit. We always joked about CrossFit being a cult and blah, blah, blah. And that's what cults are. There is a leader, and without the leader, the cult pretty much can't exist. The Branch Davidians don't exist without David Koresh. Right. Because the cult is built all around that one person. And CrossFit kept going. And I thought it was very cultish. It was Greg, but all these people came up underneath Greg and started just kind of running with it. And I think that happened from the beginning, that people started, Greg allowed people to just like, I have this idea, I'm going to do it. And he's like, all right, go do it, create it, make it, and Castro, I'm going to make the game. Okay, let's do this. And all these things just started growing underneath it, that it was bigger than him, which we keep saying. And if it was a cult, and when Glassman got booted out, the whole thing would have folded. Mm-hmm. And that would have been the end of it. And I think it's harder to do what you do and what Greg did, then it's easier to be the cult, and it's easier to confine it to you and everything around you and make it about you. That's the easy thing to do. The hard thing is to get everyone else to believe in you and run with it and make them feel an equal. I just read this thing about Dave McCoy. I think it's his name, Dave McCoy, who created Mammoth Mountain, and he died when he was like 105 years old. Yeah, but he made, such a cool, interesting, fun guy that basically had everybody come to work for him, and they all wanted to go to work, and they wanted to do this because it was so fun and so cool. And he made it theirs. It wasn't his. It was everyone else's. And I think that's ultimately what you have to do to make something successful. Do I have that skill? No fucking way. I wish I did. And so more power to you if you can pull that off. But I think, and it turns out Glassman actually did it, where I thought it was a cult. I thought it was all around about him. And I was kind of one of these people like, let's count the days. He's gone. This is just going to be a spiral downward.
And that's what it's kind of opening with is like, this making everything a catastrophe. It's just like, look, this, what he laid intellectually down, and Armen said it earlier. I mean, you got those opening articles, man, they're just, I go back and read them all the time. It's so simple. It's so profound. It's so effective. and you can't, no matter what. Now, running a business around it's a whole nother thing. And even the organization now is doing such a much better job of offering affiliate support. And that's the dirty work of this stuff. Like, we want to go, oh, well, what is so-and-so eating, and what are they getting L-glutamine or not? And in the meantime, like, there's a lot of people that are having their lives change in meaningful ways in the, several thousand gyms around the world.
I was upset. I thought Glassman, and I had heard somebody had told me that he had been working on this prior to his dismissal, that COVID had just started. And I thought it's really hard to do any kind of clinical studies or record data, but CrossFit has this organization where they have access to so much data. They've got all these affiliates that they can kind of do their own kind of study or experiment where they say, look, you have so many members of your affiliate. You're here, you're this. Give me breakdowns of their demo, like their weight, their heights, their weights, their sex, their this. How many of them have had COVID? How bad has their COVID been? How long has it lasted? What were their symptoms? Blah, blah, blah. And then able to, there were CrossFit gyms advertising saying, hey, we're the cure for COVID. Like, basically get a healthy lifestyle, exercise, eat well. You're not going to get this thing, or you're not going to be affected by this thing. Well, it'd be a lot better if you had a paper and you go, look, we have, 30,000 gyms. We have, 1.5 whatever members. We have this, we have that. We have 0.000% death compared to
Eddie, this is exactly what he was doing. I mean, I was on calls with them, with other affiliate owners, and this is what he was trying to
it sucks that never got to be done.
I know. And this is the thing, is
because no other organization could do that.
And this is the fittest organization there is.
Yeah.
Period. Like, it's just sort of like, look, there's a lot of there's more Peloton users, but like, what? Okay.
I guess you could collect data of a Peloton user and do that, but it's a little more of an intrusion for Peloton to say, "Have you had COVID?" Whereas at a CrossFit gym, you could say, "Hey, we're trying to figure this out. How many members have had it? You don't have to answer. Blah blah blah." Then you can report back and go and collect all this data. That then you've got a selling point down the road where you go, "Look, we have proved we are the fittest. Here we are. We are so healthy that only this percentage compared to the national average have experienced these kind of blah, blah, blah." So what do you want to do? Do you want to live your life like this? Or do you want to come be a part of something that is, you don't have to worry about all these other things?
Totally. And look, that CrossFit Health is moving in this direction. The difficulty is that, and again, this is where a strong personality can help. But Julie Fouché is now ahead of CrossFit Health, and what a great,
she's great,
amazing spokesperson for it. And I just hope that like our broader community starts to just slow down and refocus some of our energy, because there's so many things in life to distract, but like at the absolute core of it is, hey, let's come together. Let's do some hard shit. We're going to be better for it. We're going to be resilient, and we're going to really appreciate each other in the meantime. And like that part of the message, if I'm just looking back 10 years since our first Wodcast, like there's been so many other sideshows, but I still look at what holds the thing together, and that's it. And in one or two sentences, that's the thing. Like, we can all agree that this stuff is difficult. We can all agree that it's made our lives better, and we're all stronger and healthier and better versions of ourselves in our individual lives because of it. And somehow that's still not the
yeah, but it really screwed up my elbows.
I think that's a you problem, dude. That's a yin's problem.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I just texted the boys, everybody, that I got to leave in a few minutes, but we could spend another hour on Eddie's extraordinary ability to be a hypochondriac.
It's not a hypochondriac. I have real injuries, and I'm really good at getting rid of them.
The amount of time, there was a time arc that Armen, that I had. If I were just to show you, like, like conversation length with Eddie. And I wish I just documented what the conversations were about. Like Eddie likes Armen, for example, versus, and like how much, okay. So Armen, I got a phone call with Eddie that probably lasted 20 minutes about how much he liked you after the first episode. But in that same week, I had 4 1-hour conversations about his elbow, his knee, and his lack of aerobic capacity. And
That's always
all
a big one. That's always a big one.
And here's the thing. He would just drain my expertise. And I go, I don't know. He goes, what do you think I should do? And I give him 9 really fucking useful things to do about each of them. And then I'd be like a week later, hey, Eddie, how's the thing? I didn't do one of them. Anyway, I have this new one. And I have another way to waste 1 hour of your time. And it's just like, and I fell for it for a long time. And then at some point he would text me. I'm like, nope, not falling. It's like an accident on the 405. You know, if you've been around LA enough, you slow down to look at it, you're like, no. And then you become a pro and you're like, not falling for that one. You just drive on.
You'll love this. New Year's Day, I wake up and I feel like shit. And I'm like, I fucking have it. And I take a rapid test and I've got COVID. And immediately I text every doctor I know. And I was on probably 12 different text chains going with, so what do you think about Pepsid? It's got some antiviral qualities about it.
God.
And
oh my God.
And
You're wasting time.
And I was just, I mean, from Dr. Drew to like guys I grew up with to just texting them all. And I thought these guys on the other end of this are going, this guy is a whack job.
Hey, listen, if you're a doctor and you've wasted this much time listening to it, this episode, I wonder if you're actually a doctor. But if you are, and you get somehow a communication thread with Eddie, and he asks you a question, I think the best answer for all professionals in the medical world should be, Eddie, you deserve it. And just leave it at that. AIDS, COVID, Hoof Snyder syndrome. I don't care.
I'll never forget one time I text Kelly Starrett. I had like a bad back or something. And I go, Kelly, my back, it's killing me. I can't get out of bed. I don't know what to do. And he wrote, take a Valium.
This is after he texted me 6 times about you. Hey, what's up with your buddy? So somehow, even in my periphery, they're getting like, you know, this guy Eddie, like, fucking, oh yeah. And now my time is spent feeling about Eddie's shit that he's not going to do anything about. Like, everybody, just fucking let him be in pain.
No, I love it.
Before we wrap this up, guys, I posted on my Instagram that we're doing this and got a bunch of really good questions. So I'm gonna try and answer some of them on my Instagram. But I got 2 that I think we should definitely highlight. One of them is, could Machete still take Froning streetwise?
Sure.
And,
of course.
just a classic Machete moment where this was when Scott and Eddie, I don't think I was there this year, but you guys went to the East Coast Championships in Boston, and Machete was saying he saw Rich in the elevator and sized him up streetwise and said that he could take him in a fight, which is probably true because he's way bigger. He
has this weird confidence about him that Machete has that I don't doubt him. Like, he fucks up a lot, but for some reason I never doubt him, even though he's made mistakes and goes, sorry, you know, like I fucked up. I don't doubt him because his confidence is so, like, I'll never forget that time somebody's like, Machete, they're towing your car. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. And I was like, who doesn't fly down the street and like scream and yell and like, don't, that's my car. Machete was like, yeah, it'll be cool. I got it. And he just has this air about him. So when he said I could take him streetwise, I'm like, is there something we don't know about Machete? Like, does he disembowel people, or is there, you know, like, does he know some move that?
Yeah, and of course he's going to pull a knife or something.
Yeah,
isn't going to see.
His name is Machete.
Yeah. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement. Machete,
absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, Rich.
Sorry.
And then the other question that we got is how this podcast 10 years ago that we did has had an impact in our day-to-day lives since then. I think
Kenny just answered that.
Kenny just answered that by telling
People
us
are
that
still getting bothered by
he
me.
spent the past 10 years shoveling Eddie's shit out of his life every day.
If you're my friend and you're friends with somebody in the medical profession, do not introduce me to them.
Yeah, totally.
because
Anybody, all people. don't.
because I will torture them on a
Okay.
daily basis.
I just want to say, guys, that it's been fucking great. It's been a wonderful ride to have been involved in this podcast for as long as it's been going. We've made it this entire time without Eddie mentioning that he ran track.
I was gonna get it in there. I was gonna
PR.
shoehorn it in.
It's just incredible that we made it as far as we did. I don't know if you know this about me, but I ran track in college.
I'm shooting my special Saturday night at the Irvine Improv. I'm doing 2 shows. We're shooting the special, spending a lot of money on this thing. And I was like, I got to get a joke in there about that. And I do this joke now. I can do it. I don't care if people see it in the special, but I do a joke about how I ran track and people look at me and they're like, I'm like, I was a sprinter. And people are like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I was really fast. And people are like, really? How are you so fast? And I'm like, I was an altar boy.
Strong. That's really strong.
But I want to thank all the listeners that have stuck through it forever. The Garth Willoughbys, the Gordon Wagners, the John Wares, the guys that have been with us since like day one.
Yeah, man.
and
John Ware
stuck with us.
Yeah.
And when you guys did the show, you were a lot more communicative with the audience. I'm just like, I just get into my head and I just go, and then I'm moving a million miles a minute, but I still do appreciate every single one of those guys. And anybody that listens and supports, and that's ultimately why you do it. And so all those listeners out there, especially the people that give to the Patreon, but they're the most important in my life. But
Scott's not here to be part of the 500th episode, but he was a huge part of the podcast. And
I asked Scott to do a reunion episode, and he wanted to do it in person. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it in person. And he was like, why not? I'm like, because you can intimidate me then.
I love Scott so much. We should try and convince him to do a Zoom episode. Actually, Eddie texted me about this, and I was like, Eddie, should we do this in person? And he's like, I'm not leaving my house. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I would have preferred to do it in person. I didn't even. I mean, the day was busy, but like,
I hate leaving my house.
Either way, guys, I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I love you guys too. And
huge impact on me as a person, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for being a big part of this. And I hope we can do a 600th.
Hell yeah.
Amazing, Eddie. Congrats, guys. Pretty cool.
All right. And you guys know what to do. Rate, review, and comment, and tell me how Armen sucks.